Today I wanted to share my lessons on what have I learned after teaching over 200 people on one-on-one to help them overcome English communication while living in overseas. So I've done a lot of the group lectures, but also one-on-one. It made me able to learn a lot about the other human and their psychology and how they change and how they perceive, how they accept new informations, and all that came to in collective data after teaching over 2 years. So today I want to share all the big realizations after doing a lot of classes with them. Some people 3 months, some people 12 months, some people even 2 years, and a lot of the great achievements were made. Some people were going from 4.5 to 6.0, or even some people go from 6.0 to 7.5 above, depending on what problem they had, but what they were able to solve. The first one is the approach in acquiring a new language. So a lot of them had no clear understanding of what leads to acquiring a language in a way that they can speak more, rather than being able to solve a quiz and write or read or even do a listening test. But as they come to overseas, they realize these are the skills that actually doesn't really help much, even if they achieve the decent standard. So they were stuck at real life situations where they were facing another native speakers, where they have to speak and articulate themselves and communicate to the other people, but then they are finding themselves where they're stuck and not being able to articulate themselves, which that led to avoiding the chances to speak and avoiding the chance to build more deeper relationship, and that leads to not enough communications, not enough listenings, and then if you don't talk, obviously you cannot speak well. Imagine you're a kid who was born before you learn to speak a mother language, and you haven't learned to speak Korean or any other mother language that you speak, and then imagine you're trying to learn to speak without speaking any of your words, any of your language, which is extremely hard. So yeah, once they realize, we focus on really increasing the amount of language they use depending on their situations, but that includes speaking, listening, and real life interaction and everything. I'm just in the quick shopping stuff. I'm gonna get some, what will I get? I need some rice. I got a steak for dinner, so I'm gonna get some rice. There you go. The second lesson I learned is the fear of judgment. A lot of the Asian countries have the culture of not standing out too much and assimilate within the group. So you tend to you tend to be like a stealth, be quiet, instead of making a scene or standing out too much in front of the other people, and somewhat it becomes not attractive or not charming or something like that. But in modern days, especially including in Western, the characters and personality are deeply appreciated. So a lot of the Koreans that I taught come to a realizations after they moved to Australia, and they realize, oh, holy shit, the whole life I lived my life thinking that
The door is open.
since everyone else is caring so much about other people and taking care about me to the obsession to how I would look to the others. And then you come to Australia and it's completely changed. And a lot of the Korean students I know, they actually prefer to stay in Australia just for that reason as well, because they don't like to see the previous version of them where they care so much about the others. They realize how free and how much freedom they feel once they move to overseas, because other people don't care and they start to not care, and then once they start to not care, they really start to think about the things that it really matters to their life. So it comes to the conclusion where they can have some time for themselves to think about themselves and continue exploring. For me, in personal case, that is the key environment where it started to, okay, like what are the meaning in life and what do I want to achieve and how do I want to live? If I didn't have that environment of where everyone else is encouraging each other to have the characters, have their own thoughts on everything, I guess I could have been stuck even longer. But all the friends and other people that were around me were living like that, so I became the one like that as well. So over time, I continuously challenged myself to change and become someone who cares less and less about the other people's, and then just do what I feel like and say what I truly feel like, and then develop my new character from there. All right, the third one, this is very important one, willingness to sacrifice. This really changed a very much of an effect when it comes to the English levels. So when I compare two different students where they are taking a risk, willing to sacrifice everything, whatever it takes to improve their English. So this person is John and this person is Sarah, for example. Sarah is very careful and risk averse, so not willing to take any risk and only go through the safe bet that she fully research and go through the road that other people has gone already. So John tends to come to Australia and develop his English skills very, very fast. Why? Because first one, he doesn't meet Korean people. He doesn't even live with Korean people. It's extremely uncomfortable to live with non-Korean or people from their own country because of the communication era, cultural difference, cooking, food difference, and there could be a lot of different arguments and conflicts, and it becomes to your stress. And sometimes you think you can live with them, and then you go and create this living environment and live with them, and then you realize quickly this is not what I want, because it's so stressful. I have to fight with them or I have to argue with them to share my standpoint, to argue my point on whatsoever. That leads to stress and they want to run away from it. But this kind of sacrifice leads to developing yourself on many different levels and many different aspects. It allows you to communicate more. It allows you to stand up for yourself and keep your own opinion and convince other people or persuade other people about your own thoughts and your rights, so that you actually learn to stand up for yourself in the society that you're living in. And you get to use English all the time, so you will learn more and you will use more. You will learn about the culture in the different countries. I literally lived with every single different country, including India, Nepal, all different Asian countries, a lot of the South Americans like Brazil, Sao Paulo is a city, Brazil, and what's the other country there? Uruguay, and there's another one, the place where they play soccer really well, from where soccer player Messi is from. Argentina, yes. Those countries and all the Europes like French, Italian, Belgium, like I live with them. Sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes years, and including obviously Australian, US and Canadian and UK as well. So last 14 years I live with every single one of them, and I pretty much learn all the cultures I learned UK people don't wash their mouth after brushing their teeth, or don't even clean the dishes after they wash with their detergent. So they put all the soap in the sink and then wash it, and then when they put it away, they don't rinse it with water, they just put it with all the soaps on the dish, and then for them it's done, just like how they leave their brushed teeth as well. South American people like to party. They like to invite people without telling you, and make people place dirty, and have less self respect for the other people as well. Would be a really different cultural standpoint from there. So my point is that these are the unknown risk as like it's not actually a wiham, but it's could be stressful, could be something you don't want. So the reason you're not deciding to move in with these foreigners is because of those two. If any of those two or any other problems are not going to be the persistent, like you believe them, they're not going to steal your stuff and run away, then you probably will take risk and then try to live with them. So it's like the students' willingness to take John. It doesn't matter whether it obviously matters if people steal money and hit him or do the drugs and stuff like that, but John is ready to adopt and accept that there are different aspects of life and then live through that and then experience it. While Sarah, on the other hand, is in the early hand, she foresees these situations that she will need to navigate through these challenges, and she decided to not do the share with the foreigners in the first place, which blocks 8 hours a day of exposure to the English environment, which then lead to not be able to speak English. And this applies to whether to challenge themselves to work at an English-speaking environment or not. English-speaking environment for John, and not an English-speaking environment like Korean waitress jobs or Korean cleaning jobs for Sarah, where she is continuously stuck with the Korean companies, lower wage, lower developments in every aspect of the area. So yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff like John, who continuously grow very, very fast, who are taking risk and adventurous and trying to learn from the mistakes and failures, and try to take sacrifice, willing to accept the sacrifice and the disadvantage that they will get. In return, they want to learn and they want to achieve their level of English. Okay, the next point, distraction. Majority of the students is without knowingly, they're severely distracted. What I mean by that is a lot of them has a big problem with social media addiction or Korean drama or movie addiction. So their days and life is filled with lots of short-term pleasures like watching movies, K-dramas, and short-form contents in 2 to 3 hours, even more, so that it leads to having heightened dopamine baseline, which then goes to making them to not being able to focus or not being able to wanting to do the hard work where they have to read the books, where they have to meet the other people, which is challenging, but then they will choose not to do it because their dopamine baseline is very high. So I suggest all of them to cut the media that they is likely to increase the dopamine baseline, where it's stimulating and short form contents and mindless scrolling, like you know how you don't think about but you scroll and scroll and scroll. All of this leads to distractions and not being able to focus, and not being able to focus and distracted leads to inconsistency in your work to run towards your goal. So you want to achieve your goal, whether that's your career or your another additional skills you want to work on, or the knowledge you want to acquire, or English speaking skills you want to acquire. All of this requires a lot of the work, including the gym as well. A lot of this requires a lot of the work and consistency for a long period. 1 year, 2 years without seeing a lot of the results. You have to continuously do it over and over again, not once a week, but 5 times a week or even more. But when you're distracted, the consistency rates obviously drop because you have a lot of different excuses, because you have a lot of different things to do, and you start to self what do you call the 스스로를 설득하다, self what's the word? I can't think of it. Rationalize, yes, self-rationalize yourself, and then tricking yourself into believing that you've done your best and you tried all the possible things you could do, but it's the nature that you're in is not allowing you to do it, which is an excuse you created in your own word, but the problem is actually you. So cutting out these short-term pleasures, including excessive drinking, a lot of drugs, and a lot of sex, a lot of porn, and masturbation is really bad for the guys as well. Yeah, so cutting these out really comes very, very important, and then leads to better lifestyle and building the foundation. Okay, the last thing, obviously there's more, but the last but not least, I want to talk about the rate of the success in the past in their life. So what I mean by that is, I've asked them, a lot of them asked them, what are the greatest things that you feel you achieved in your life? I asked them like how to see how much and how hard they pushed with their life, because if they can do something very, very hard, they can do English as well, because English is actually not that hard. But when I look at their answers, most of the people that I've worked with, and I would say they are like really average people, they're not special people, they're the average people that I see from Korean society and among my friends in the past. They're all like same as you as an audience, but a great achievement would be like did some good results with the 수능, or I did some good results with the studying during the universities, but I haven't heard really great achievements like I've achieved this, I've achieved this, I've achieved this, I've achieved this. These kind of people are different, and these kind of people have the tendency to achieve based on their amount of efforts they put in. Over time, they actually learn how to build skills that they need to do so that they don't require assistant help from another coach like me. But most of the people who seeked where they were stuck, and at least these people took an initiative to try to work on themselves. But the problem is that they never try to do their best on achieving something in their life, which means they didn't know how to overcome the challenges when they get stuck. It includes getting a fit body, like muscles and abs and bikini body that you want. They never achieved it. They wanted to do it, they never achieved it. Getting extremely good grades or extremely good results at a workplace. They wanted to do this too, but they were not be able to do it. Why? Maybe they have their own reason, but the route is the same. They always reach the certain point of their plateau, and then they never put additional work to go beyond what is required and then to achieve their desired outcome. So that comes down to English as well. They never try to push themselves to do the things that they hate, they don't like. They only focused on what they liked. So there's no way that they can go above that. If you're extremely rich, or if you're from maybe if you're running a business, you can hire someone to do it for you. Or if you're extremely rich, you can hire someone and that you can pay money to create the entire environment, you know, like go to expensive school, expensive teacher, and then do the tutor 5 times a day or 5 days a week and stuff like that. But unless you are in that situation, you have to learn to do the things that you don't like, and then learn to enjoy doing things. I'm talking in English, for example, I'm talking learning to read a book, finding the English channel that you like, or learning to speak to foreigner when you hate speaking to the other people. You're so introvert and shy, you're not used to communicate, but you actually have to develop a skill set and the persona to go out there and then speak to the people. So that's like the main difficulties they have to overcome in order to be consistent, in order to be disciplined and become the person they want while living overseas.